All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about some of the biggest players in the world of biology. We're talking about complex carbs, polysaccharides. Now, these aren't your simple sugars. These are absolute giants, the real fundamental building blocks of life.
So let me ask you something. What in the world do potatoes, the fluid that keeps your joints moving smoothly, and a hospital-grade blood thinner all have in common? I mean, they sound completely unrelated, right? But believe it or not, they're all connected by the same deep biochemical secret. And the answer? It's all about polysaccharides. Yep. These massive, long-chain sugar molecules are the hidden powerhouses, the unsung heroes behind all those things, and so much more. They are, without a doubt, the giants of the carbohydrate world, and we're about to figure out exactly what makes them tick.
So here's what's on tap. First, we'll break down what these sugar giants even are. Then, we'll get into the two main families, the ones made of a single type of sugar versus the ones that are a total mix. And we'll wrap up by looking at how these things are actually used in the clinic. Sound good? Let's go.
All right, first up, the giants of sugar. Let's get right to it. What are polysaccharides really?
Okay, so at their heart, polysaccharides, you'll also hear them called glycans, are basically just super long chains of simple sugars. Think of it like a necklace made of thousands of tiny beads, where each bead is a simple sugar, a monosaccharide, and the little clasp holding each bead to the next, that's a special chemical link called a glycosidic bond. In the biological world, they pretty much have two main gigs, storing energy for later and providing physical structure.
But here's the thing, not all these sugar necklaces are the same. We can slice them into two big categories. You've got your homopolysaccharides. Homo just means same, right? So if you were to break one of these down, you'd find it's made of only one type of sugar bead over and over again, like a glucan, which is just glucose, glucose, glucose. Then you have the heteropolysaccharides. Hetero means different, and yeah, you guessed it, when you break these guys down, you get a whole cocktail of different sugars and their cousins.
So let's dive into that first group, the homopolysaccharides. It's kind of amazing to see all the different things nature can build using just one kind of sugar. First up is probably the one you know best, starch. This is, hands down, the most important carb in the human diet. It's how plants store up all their energy, and we find it packed into stuff like cereals, potatoes, you name it. And yep, it's a glucan, meaning it's 100% pure glucose, just linked together in a chain. But here's a fun fact. Starch isn't really just one single thing. It's actually a blend of two different molecules. The vast majority of it, like 80 to 85%, is a molecule called amylopectin. The other 15 to 20% is amylose.
So what's the difference between them? It all comes down to shape. Amylose is pretty simple. It's just a long, straight chain of glucose units linked up with what are called alpha-1,4 bonds. Think of it like a simple piece of string. Amylopectin, though, is way more complex. It's got that same main chain, but it's also highly branched, kind of like a tree. Every 20 units or so, a new branch pops out using a different type of link, an alpha-1,6 bond. And this branching is super important. It gives enzymes way more places to grab onto and break off sugar, which means you get energy much, much faster.
And that idea of fast energy access brings us perfectly to our own bodies. Our version of starch is a molecule called glycogen. This is our go-to quick-access fuel supply, and we keep it stashed away mostly in our liver and muscles.
Now, if you look at glycogen, it's basically a dead ringer for amylopectin. It's a big, branched-out polymer of glucose using the exact same kinds of alpha bonds. So what's the catch? The only real difference is that glycogen is even more branched than amylopectin. Think of it like an even denser, bushier tree. And why? Well, all those extra branches mean our body can release a flood of glucose from all ends at once whenever we need a big burst of energy, like right now.
So we've established that those alpha bonds are the secret sauce for starch and glycogen, making them great for storing energy. But what if we just tweak that one tiny chemical bond? As the saying goes, one small change creates a world of difference. And in biochemistry, that is literally true.
Okay, so here's the payoff. Starch and glycogen have those alpha-1 to 4 bonds. Our bodies have enzymes that are tailor-made to snap those bonds apart and give us energy. Easy peasy. But then there's cellulose, the stuff that makes up plant cell walls. It's also a polymer of glucose, but it uses beta 1 to 4 bonds. And that tiny, tiny flip in the bond's orientation, well, it changes everything. Our enzymes just can't latch onto it, they can't break it, and that one little flip is the entire reason why starch is food and cellulose is just indigestible fiber. Pretty amazing what you can do with just one type of sugar, right?
So now, let's switch gears and check out the other side of the family, the heteropolysaccharides, the ones built from a whole mix of different molecules.
When it comes to our own bodies, the superstars of this group are called glycosaminoglycans, or GAGs for short. What are they? Well, they're long, straight chains made of a repeating pattern of two different sugars. Usually it's an amino sugar paired with something called a uronic acid. These GAGs are the absolute backbone of our connective tissues. They're the glue or the matrix that literally holds us together.
And just look at the variety here. You've got hyaluronic acid, that's the stuff that lubricates our joints and acts like a shock absorber. Then there's chondroitin sulfate, which is crucial for keeping our cartilage and bones strong. And get this, heparin is a GAG, and it's a super potent natural blood thinner. And we've got dermaton sulfate, which helps our skin and even our heart valves keep their shape. It's incredible, right? All these wildly different jobs, and it all just comes down to tweaking those repeating sugar units a little bit. These GAGs are like a Swiss Army knife for our bodies.
So this is all fascinating biochemistry, but how does it actually show up in the real world? In our final section, let's talk about why all this stuff matters in medicine. Okay, check this out. There's a molecule called inulin, and it's a bit of an oddball because it's not made of glucose, it's made of fructose, so we call it a fructosin. You can find it in stuff like garlic and onions, but where it really shines is in the doctor's office.
So why is it a medical superstar? It's all about its size. Inulin has a molecular weight of about 5,000. That's kind of the Goldilocks number. Not too big, not too small. It's the perfect size to get completely filtered out of your blood by your kidneys, no problem.
Here's how the test works. It's pretty slick. They introduce inulin into your bloodstream. And the key thing here is your body completely ignores it. It doesn't use it for energy, it doesn't reabsorb it, nothing. It just cruises around in your blood until it hits the kidneys and boom, it gets filtered straight into your urine. So by measuring how fast your kidneys pull that inulin out of your blood, doctors get a super accurate reading of what's called the glomerular filtration rate, or GFR. It's one of the best ways to tell how healthy your kidneys really are.
All right, let's circle back to our old friend cellulose. We said we can't digest it because of those beta bonds, right? So it's useless? Absolutely not. That indigestibility is actually its superpower. Cellulose is what we call dietary fiber. As it passes through our system untouched, it does a couple of amazing things. It can actually slow down how much glucose and cholesterol we absorb. Plus, it adds bulk, which, well, it keeps everything moving along smoothly. Super important for a healthy gut.
So when you think about it, from the fuel in a potato to the cushion in your joints, and even to a high-tech kidney test, it all comes back to these polysaccharides. They are truly the unsung, versatile workhorses of all biology. And that leaves me with one final question for you. We've seen how just a tiny little tweak to a chemical bond can completely change a molecule's job. So knowing that, what's next? What if we could start designing our own polysaccharides from scratch? Could we create new ones for super targeted medical treatments? Or maybe build incredible new biomaterials? The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing. Thanks for joining me.